kind of introduction, but it looks like we can start right away. First of all, I'd like to welcome you all to this webinar. I hope that at the end of this 14 minutes, we'll all be more enlightened and we'll go away with something. I hope I will not bore you with unnecessary things, but rather with things that are essential to your work and what you do. So you're welcome. Speaking, and I also allot some time to questions. So, you're welcome. Good. This is a webinar that is hosted by Ghana Book Development Council, and at one point in time, we had to come together as a group of selected individuals to develop book standards for our industry, because a lot of people were doing different things and in a haphazard way. So we came out first with a book standard, a general book standard, and later on we did one for ebooks as well. Now, the book standards, talking about the production processes, is basically grouped into 6 main formats, 6 main areas, so to say. And they are from the writing stage, which is writing and editing. Then we move on to the physical features of the book. We have the binding style, and also we have format of the book. Then we go to text and paper and print production. This webinar will zero in on the physical features, and even with that, we are going to zero in on what I term as common issues and challenges with the book production, because we don't have enough time to go through everything in the standards. So first of all, I think I'll share my screen, then we'll move on from there. Good. So the book standards, if you go to GBDC's website, which I have right down here, as you can see, it's www.gbdc.gov.gh. You can download the general standards and as well as the standards for ebooks. I have outlined here the main features, as I said before. The standards talks about writing and editing, physical features of a book, binding style, format, text paper, and print production. Hold on, I think I'm doing too many things at the time. All right. So first of all, This is what I term common issues and challenges. Placement of items of the front matter, the main text, and the back matter. Then there's also a challenge with how people paginate their books. We also are having challenges with levels of headings and features of a book. Then I may move on to what I term solving problems with styles. Then also we treat a little bit of the copyright page of a book. Then also we'll end with the ISBN and barcodes. So these are the main common issues that I want us to look. Then we have the main text, that's the front matter. The front matter is what we encounter after the cover of the book. Then we have the main text, which takes us to the contents of the book. Then the back matter, which will come after the main contents of the book. Now, how are these to be treated? If you download the book standards, which I have here, it tells you all that you need to know, what you need to do. So we are not going to go into detail about it. But then the most important page here on my screen is the placement of items in the front matter, main text, and the back matter. Most of the time, people find books that are coming out that are mixed up things. But these are the standards that GBDC has brought up. So it says on the front matter, that's the preliminary pages, you have the first page being the title page or half title if you so want. Some books have a half title or what we call the bastard title before the main title page. So whether you want a half title or main title page, you realize that the book will begin on what we call the recto. That's the right side of the page. And it's always an odd number. Most of the time you find people numbering books and the right side are having even numbers. It's not done. Every recto page has to be an odd number, and every verso page, which is the left page, has to be an even number. So the title page is either the first page, which is I, or II. Then, I. Then also, realize that some people go ahead to number. Please, title pages are not numbered, as well as copyright pages. Now, the copyright page is supposed to come immediately after the main title page, not the bastard title page, the main title page. So at the back of the main title page, you have your copyright page. Then and so on and so forth. You go to your dedication, then there's a blank page, then table of contents. So you realize that it's only the dedication that comes before the table of contents. All other sectors of the book will come after the table of contents. And the list shows you the sequence in which they appear. So you find depending on the type of book you are producing, it might not have all of these, but where yours falls in, then you know where to put it. So you see that in certain instances, there's a strict format saying that it should be on a right page or a left page. Or a right page, for instance. But most of the time, also, it gives you that flexibility where you can put it on a recto or a verso. So, in a nutshell, you go through this table, which is part of the standards that if you download, you will see. And you use that as a guide when you're producing your book. Now, pagination. As I talked about placement of books earlier, please, everybody should use.
Please, can we all mute our audio with the exception of the facilitator?
How pagination is done, yes.
250,000 placements a day. How is the distribution done?
Please, it's not time for questions yet. So if you can mute your mic.
Is to sort of distribute is the distribution done, because we want to distribute that if we are producing 250,000 placements a day. Yes.
Can we please mute every mic? Okay, let's go on to pagination. There are two types of pagination. We have pagination of pages where we make room for prelims, where you have prefix, which is more than maybe a page or two. You have your acknowledgements, introduction, and they are quite lengthy. Then it would be advisable to use Roman numerals to number all those preliminary pages.
Hello, Mr. Japan. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Japan. Please, there is interference. I can't hear you. Somebody's mic is on. There's interference.
Somebody has muted their mic.
You also want to find out the check sheets are agents that government uses to, give information to the public. Recently, we had some of the persons expressing concern on lack of social distancing, some displeasure with the NPP primary that they have been elected. As you come to the attention,
feedback coming from somewhere.
Thank you.
Let me mute everybody's mic. Good. I think I'm okay now. So let me go back to share the screen. Good. So as I was saying, depending on the kind of book you have, you may have to use Roman numerals for your preliminary pages, which are many, or if you have a simple book which deals with just a dedication or not even dedication, goes ahead to a single preface, you can just use simple numbering throughout. I'd like to share on my screen here a book that I did for one client. This book is about it has quite a number of notes before you get to the main page. So what I decided was to give it Roman numeral numbers. So we find out that from the content page, we have VI up to page 10, which is X. Then the part 1 comes, which starts at page 1. On the other hand, if you don't have too many materials, then you can decide to number your pages right from page 1. But still remember that your title page and your copyright page should not carry page numbers. Should not carry page numbers. We see that a lot. That's why I keep stressing on it. Now, when we talk about levels of headings and features of a book, we are referring to the headings of various chapters. Somebody has unmuted their mic again. We are referring to the various headings that we have. For instance, if you go through this book, maybe an A head, which is the main head in the chapter. Then we might have other subheads, which comes after the main head. Then we have sub-sub. So depending on the type of your book that you have, all the subheadings must be treated in such a way that just by looking at the way it's been rendered, you know the importance or know that this subhead comes under this heading, or this heading comes under this chapter heading. Now, you find out that in some books, they will be struggling to do this just because, one, the book hasn't been well designed, and it hasn't also been well edited. Because the information normally comes from the editor telling the designer which weight of heading to use. So the designer will take the information from the editor and apply the styles to be done in the book. Okay. Now, once that we understand what we call levels of heading or features of a book, the features of a book, depending on the type of book, could be normally, maybe if you talk about textbooks, you could have exercises, which is one feature. You could have activities, which is also another feature. Then maybe most other features by brainstorming and all other things. If you look at this book, we have a feature called sport quiz, which is treated in such a way that the moment you are even flipping the book through the book, you'll be able to fish out all the sport quizzes in the book. It helps the user to be able to locate where every feature is. You come to another feature here, which says self-assessment exercises. So these are basically the features that you might find in this book. So you treat every feature in such a way that they are consistent. No matter which page that they occur, you see that they are treated in the same way. They are treated in the same way. Good. Now, one of the other challenges that we have is trying to ensure that all these features will appear in the same way throughout the book. And that's where I come to my fourth issue of solving problems with style. Good. Once you have identified all the features that you want to use in your book, it is prudent that in your design software, you style all these features so that once you apply the style, it will be the same throughout the book. Now, if you go back to my chapter 1, you realize that if I put the cursor here and go into my star tells me that this is an A head. So that anywhere I know that there should be an A head, all I have to do is to apply my star. So for instance, if I come to this place, this paragraph, for instance, and I say the paragraph has to be an A head, then immediately I apply the star, it changes it to an A head. You see what I mean? Okay, so let's go back. You can use stars to even check your spacing, especially when you are using to even determine the amount of spaces between your heading. Internet connection is unstable. Maybe I'll try and switch to a different network at the point in time if it gets well. Now, let's look at this heading, for instance, which is a B head. If you go into the stars editing option and you come to text and spacing, you see that here I've done a 5mm space before and a 2mm space after. So you realize that any time that I apply this style, then it will give me that same spacing throughout the book. So you use your style to ensure consistency throughout your book. Windows and orphans. Now, what are windows and orphans? In typography, whenever you take a book and you flip a page and you find just one single line, either at the bottom of the page or at the top of the page, it is called a window or an orphan. The ones that are found at the bottom of the page is called the orphans. And the ones that you find at the top of the page, single line, is called the widow. Now, it makes reading quite uncomfortable because you start the whole paragraph and it doesn't end properly, and it moves just one single line to the next page, which is something that you always have to avoid because it doesn't make good design and it also doesn't make reading good. And there's a simple way that you can solve this problem, and it's through styling your body text or whatever text that you are using in the book. What I normally do is that if I go to my body text, for instance, where I've highlighted is a body text initial. I have body text, the main body text. And what I do is that I add to the style, ask the style to check for these widows and orphans. And you can do that by asking your options to keep lines together. So in the style, you go to your keep options. These are the keep options. So there are various ways you can work with keeping options. When you are dealing with, for instance, captions, which comes under photos, artwork, maps, etc. Normally, you have to use this option called keep with previous, because you would always want to keep your captions under the photo or artwork, which comes before the caption. So once you click on keep previous, that caption always looks for something above it to be attaching themselves. If you are dealing with headers, which has to follow main text or a body of text, then you are dealing with keep with next, because that body of text comes after that header. So you say keep with next 1 line or 2 lines or 3 lines, depending on what you want to achieve. Good. Now, on the main body of text, I say keep lines together. So I come here and tell the style sheet that, look, keep at least 2 lines at the start or 2 lines in the end. Once you do that, the software will make sure that every photos and orphans away from your books. Very important. You can use it easily, and you don't have to stress to go through the books to mark up where you should move text to other places. Good. So I think we can now go on to the next one, which is our copyright page. We've had to face a lot of problems with copyright pages of books, because I think most of the time people are not sure what should really go into their copyright page. But the copyright page is, I would say, both the legal and the storehouse of information for your book, because every information that is necessary for your book are stored in your copyright page, so that any cataloging, any person who is interested in books, when they pick up your book and look at the copyright page, will be able to know what the book is about, not necessarily in terms of the content, but the issues surrounding the book. So let's move on to back to our standards, and let's see what our standards talk about the copyright page, which is part of the preliminary page. Good. So standard 6.2.3 talks about copyright page, and it says that the copyright page shall have the following. First, it has to carry the copyright symbol or the abbreviation copyright, CPR, COPR. Now, the book has to have the year of publication, because it's an essential information that is needed in your book. Every book, when you open the copyright page, it should tell you the year in which the book was published. It should tell you the copyright owner. Copyright ownership can vary. Usually you will have the copyright owner of the text, which is most often the author. Then also you might have other copyright ownership. You could have design copyright ownership. You could have photos, illustrations. All must be stated in the copyright page. And it must have the term all rights reserved, unless you are publishing a book that is for open source. Then if it's not a new book that you are doing, then all the year of subsequent editions must be stated in your copyright page. If it's not your first print, then you should tell us in the copyright page. Publisher's details, that's the name of the publishing house, postal address, telephone number, email address, website, and it should be on your copyright page. Illustrator, where a book has been illustrated, the name of the illustrators or the illustrators should appear also on the copyright page. And most important of all, your international standard book number, what we term ISBN, which is a unique identifier of a book, should be on your copyright page. Later on, we'll go into ISBN. Then if it's a magazine or any other book-like material, it might carry an ISSN or the designer. Somebody designs a book nicely for you. Please put their name on the copyright page. The typesetter, the name should be there. Then the printer, where it was printed, who printed it. Things that are expected on your copyright page. And please, on your copyright pages, usually you'll find that it has been treated, the text itself, or it has been designed in such a way that it is so bold. Copyright pages, even though important, are supposed to be set in a font that is smaller, way smaller than the body text you are using in your books. So please, don't be setting your copyright pages so big. And at the time, it might even contain so much information, and everything has to fit on one page. So there's no need at all to set your copyright pages on a big font size. So if you go back to my sample book here, you see the way I set the copyright page. It's quite small, but it has all the relevant information that you need. Now, let's move on. We'll finish very soon. Yeah. So the last issue that we have, which is ISBN and barcode. When I finish this, then we can have the questions coming in. Good. What is an ISBN? An ISBN is a unique identifying number that identifies books. In fact, every book in this world is supposed to be identified, not even every book, every product. And that's what we call the EAN, the International Article Number. And books carry ISBN. Before 2007, we used to have ISBN in 10 digits. But then the world realized that the growth of books and the number of books that are being published every year is increasing astronomically. So they needed to find a way so that they don't run out of numbers for books. So that's why in 2007, January, we had to move from ISBN 10 to ISBN 13. So now for every book that is published, carries 13-digit ISBN. There are purposes for each number. So you have to make sure that in recording or putting your ISBN in your books, they have to be rendered in a correct manner. ISBNs are supposed to be separated by a hyphen. And there's a reason for that. Each set of digits represents something. So you realize that initially, we had ISBN 10, which had 4 parts. This ISBN 10 had 4 parts, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, when we moved to ISBN 13, what they did was to add a prefix, which is 978. So we realized that for now, every ISBN carries the same prefix, no matter what or where it comes from. Now, the first one, which is the prefix, is carried by every ISBN in the world. The second part, which is ISBN, it has the 9988 and the 9964. So anywhere you see a book that carries 9988, then you should know that that book was published in Ghana. The second part will normally be a number that is assigned to the publisher. So now we have 978, which is a prefix, the 9988, which is Ghana, number 4, which is assigned to a particular publisher. Then the next part, that is the fourth part, is assigned to the book title. Then we have the last digit, which we term as the check digit. So in a nutshell, this is how every ISBN is represented. So in placing your ISBN in your book, you have to make sure that you have separated the digits correctly, and also either by space or with hyphens in between. Now, we move from ISBN and we go to barcodes. Now, obviously, when we were using ISBN 10, barcodes were different from, barcode numbers were different from ISBN. But after 2007, when ISBNs were changed or converted into 13 digits, then the barcode numbers that we had here and the ISBN itself became the same. So right now, anytime there's a barcode at the back of your book, you look at the barcode number, which is at the bottom, should match the ISBN, which is on top. And barcodes are not something that are done manually. You need a barcode generator to generate a barcode, and they are machine readable. So you specify your barcode and your ISBN, and the machine will generate something nicely like this for you, which is machine readable and can be used worldwide. So in a nutshell, I think that's what I have for you concerning what I term as common issues and challenges in our book production process. Later on, maybe in the next time when we can meet face to face, we can go a bit more detailed in how to overcome some of these challenges, and also items that can help you to produce your books nicely, well styled, and also quickly as possible. So I think that's it. I'm done with the address. So if there are any questions, I think we'll take questions.
Please, can you raise up your hand so that if you have any questions, so that Mr. Japan would answer for us. Yeah, Mr. Tete. Okay. Mr. Tete, please, you can ask your question. Kindly unmute your audio. Mr. Tete.
Okay, I have. So my question is simple. Is there anything like self-publishing? Do you have anything like self-publishing? Or I need to see a publishing firm before I publish my book? What if I write something?
Japan?
I could hardly hear you. If you can repeat this question.
Says, is there anything like self-publishing?
Yes, there is self-publishing. Self-publishing is accepted worldwide. But then you need to be sure of what you are doing. And you need to also seek professional advice. So there's self-publishing. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. So Elvis, you can please unmute and ask your question.
Hello.
Elvis, can please unmute and ask your question. All right.
Okay, Mr. Japan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the section. During the part where you were talking about the orphans and the widows,
Yeah.
I think there was a break in your line.
Okay.
So can you please run me through shortly?
Okay.
All right.
So basically, orphans and widows are referred to as single lines that are found either at the bottom of the page or at the top of the page, separated from the main paragraph. So when you find it at the bottom of the page and the main paragraph is on the next page, it is termed as an orphan. And when you find a single line at the top of the page, while the main text is on the previous page, it's referred to as a widow. And there are ways to style your book or your design in such a way that it will take care of these orphans and widows, so that you don't have to really manually go through to check to make sure that you don't have any orphans and widows. That's how softwares have been built to now make things easier for us. Previously, the editor had to go through painstakingly to make sure that the books do not carry orphans and widows. Thank you.
So you made a demonstration of how to activate a part of the paragraph.
Yes. You want me to go over that?
Yes, please.
Okay, then I might have to share my screen again.
Thank you.
Other than that, we can ask, let those who have questions ask. Then later on, when we are outside, you can call me. I can do a more demonstration for you. Because there are people on who want to ask questions.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Dorothy, please, you can unmute and ask your question. Dorothy. Hello, Dorothy. Dorothy. Okay, Mr. 𝒂𝒂𝒓𝒆, please, your question.
𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒓𝒆, sorry. 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒓𝒆, Mr. Japan, please, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒓𝒆.
Yeah, from the example you showed on the screen,
yeah.
I saw that you started your chapter 1 on verso.
No, chapter 1 is on the red too.
Yeah, but I don't know whether maybe it's because of the screen or what, but I saw it on the verso, so I wanted to ask why.
Okay, it's on the red too.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Kwoku, Christian, kindly unmute and ask your question. Mr. Christian Kwoku.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. 𝒂𝒏𝒐. What do these standards mean? Yes, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh.
Can I go on?
Mr. Kwoku, please go on.
Yes, please, Mr. Kwoku.
Okay, I'm saying that, okay, what do these standards mean to the book and the readers? Are they specifications to be followed by the publishers, or there is something that the Ghana Book Development Council is doing to ensure that every book that is put on the market has these features? Or, I mean, they're just there for the publishers to follow?
I think that is a question that can be best answered by the officials at the GBDC. But what I know is that at the moment, we are doing more of education. And later on, there will be the enforcement part of it.
Okay,
thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
I'm okay.
Dorothy,
I'm okay.
Dorothy, please, you can ask your question. Dorothy, unmute, ask your question, please.
Okay, hi, Mr. Japon.
Hi, Dot.
Okay, so my question is related to editing, but I'm inferring it from the source of the table you shared from the PDF. And the source of the table, beneath the table, it said that the source was the Chicago Style Manual. So I wanted to find out that in the absence of, okay, one, is it that the Chicago Style Manual is sort of like the default style manual that should be used, or in the absence of a publishing house giving you a style manual, you can defer to the Chicago Style Manual based on the Ghana Book Council standards?
Okay, I think to answer your question, the Chicago Style Manual that we are referring to is one large volume of book that talks about everything concerning books, from production to editing to paper, plate, everything that concerns books is found in the Chicago Style Manual. It's like a dictionary. So it's not a house style per se. The Chicago Style Manual was developed by the US to govern the publishing and production of books. What we have done with the book standards is to come up with something that will guide our production processes here in Ghana. And some of the things like placement of pages in a book, we adapted that of the Chicago Style. Not that it is adapted, so it wasn't verbatim. There are places that we have to tweak a bit.
Is any other question? Any more questions? Okay, Blackberry, please unmute and ask your question.
Thank you very much. Good morning, the panel, Mr. Japon. Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to find out the processes of the ISBN. You know, like you indicated the country's code and all that. I'm asking of the process of acquiring it, and more especially in today's publishing age, where COVID-19 has slowed quick production, quick publishing in terms of assessment and all that goes with it. I'm asking if you're able to acquire an ISBN from the library, Padmo, and you have it, how long would it have to stay with you before it can go on the book? How does it work? How does ISBN work? First, in acquiring it, the process of acquiring it, and the longevity of the ISBN. What is the story around it, please? Thank you.
If I should get your question well, ISBNs, once assigned to a book, stays with the book for the rest of its life. Deposit copies with them within a month. And once these copies are deposited and they are cataloged, then they are for that particular title for life. If they issue the ISBN to you for a particular book, they expect that you come to them and do your deposits within a specific period. Because I think over the years, they've seen that once they release ISBNs to potential publishers, they don't come back to them with their deposit copies for them to catalog it. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes. So there's no expiration to it.
No, once it's assigned to the book and it's cataloged, it stays with the book for life.
Okay, thank you very much. And then also just a little bit on copyright.
Yes.
What are the copyright standards? Can you run through it? What are the standards in copyright?
If you say standards, what exactly do you mean?
I mean the copyright in terms of how the copyright bites, the effect on the piracy and all those stuff. It has to do with copyright, how it bites. What's the effect? What's the standard?
I don't know if I understand your question, but we are all under the World Copyright Protection, and if at a point you think that your copyright is being violated by somebody, you have the right to redress in court. That is why any book that is published is copyrighted, so that it is protected. But the rest will have to show up in court.
Okay.
That's your question.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Winding up. Any more questions, please? Please, Mr. Japan.
Yes.
Yes. Someone will need a clarification whether you mentioned that the copyright page shouldn't be numbered.
Yes, it shouldn't be numbered. Copyright pages are not numbered. They don't carry page numbers. As well as title pages.
Mr. 𝒂𝒂𝒓𝒆, you can unmute, ask your question, please.
Please, Mr. Japan, I would like to find out from you, in your opinion, which format do you suggest for KG children? Is it portrait or landscape? Maybe KG to maybe P1.
Formats, if you look at the standards, we never restricted people on format. Format will have to be based on certain decisions that the publisher takes. For instance, if the kind of artwork that you want to do, you think landscape will be good for you, then you do it. If you think portrait will be good for you, then you do it. Also, you might have to consider the text that you are using. You know that there's also a restriction on how many words that you can have on a particular line. I think it's about 13 or so. So if you realize that your format that you are choosing and the text size that you are using is going to flout that law, then you might reconsider your landscape into a portrait, or you might want to use a double column or triple column work. But I am more of a portrait kind of person, because I always say that even if I use portrait and I want a landscape effect, I can use a spread to achieve that.
Hello? Japan.
Yes, you went off, but I don't know whether, but I'm okay.
Let me say Japan is off.
Okay, I'm okay with your answer. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
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 Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Mr. Japan, can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Emma, I can hear you.
Thank you. I want to find out, can we get the material after the presentation? I missed out on most of it because at first I didn't know how to operate the speaking system, the loudspeaker. So I don't know if it's available.
The way I did it, I don't know, because it was quite practical. So I don't know how to organize that kind of material for you. But you have the standards. You have a copy of the standard.
No, I'm not sure. If it was on the, if it was
So
sent,
if you go to the GBDC website, you can download the PDF version of the standard.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We will take one last question from 107903. That's the last question. Then we wrap up for today's session. Please, can you unmute? All right, good.
Good morning. Please, my question is copyright issue. I want to know if really the copyright issue works here in Ghana, because I have not heard or seen anyone pursue a copyright issue, even though there are a lot of violations going on. So I want to get clarity.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was asking my question copyright issue. I wanted to know if copyright laws really work here in Ghana, because I have not heard or seen anyone pursue any copyright issue here in Ghana, even though there are a lot going on, like violation of copyright of people's.
Yes, we do pursue piracies all over. At the point, the Publishers Association even had a committee on piracy. We do pursue piracies, and there are judgments where people had to pay fines. So copyright will also work. If you don't pursue it, it's not working. But if you do pursue it, you will get to the bottom of it, and it works.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, the very last question, please. The very last question, because our time is far gone. Infinix S5, please unmute your. You are the last person to ask a question, please.
Hello, can you hear me? My video is still off.
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
I can't put my video on, right?
You can put it on.
They say host has hijacked the video. Okay, now
we are on now.
Okay, kudos Kwabena and all those who organized this. Unfortunately, I missed the 80% of the presentation because I was searching for the password, which is one thing I want to bring to your attention. It's a laudable venture, but please add the password because you all know we are not living in normal times. I had to go to Facebook and I had to call Ghana Books Council or something because the website wasn't even functional, accessible, sorry. So before I had to call them for them to give me some logology password before I got to you. Just about the time I got to you, you were wrapping up. Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
Mr. Japan knows a bit about me. Can we have, or do you have plans to do a session on, what do I say? Pointers on how to write. Just a bit of the basics, especially if you want to write for children and if you want to write for adults. And also copyright laws on when your manuscript is done. Where do you take it before you get it published? I hope I'm clear. Hey, I can't hear myself.
We can hear you.
Okay. Because I have always wanted something like this. So if you have seminars on similar things I've said, please, if I get the banner or the poster from Mr. Japan, I will share it. So please alert us and then remember the password. And don't give us logology password because if it's case sensitive, it will take a lot of people to know that it's case sensitive. So if you want to do all, like the password, if you want to do all, what do you call it? The word is not coming, forgive me. Small letters, then small letters and then a word. If you, sorry, and a number, a figure. If you want to do all big letters and then a figure, so that we would also have another hectic of accessing your seminars. Thank you.
Okay, can I address the password issue? So our second workshop, which will be coming off, we're having the password on the flyer and we share it. But unfortunately, the password is automatically generated.
Okay.
Yes, it's automatically generated. So for that one, we can't do much about it. But for the password, we'll be having it on the flyer for our next workshop, which is coming off on the 9th of July. That's next week, Thursday. So let's bear that in mind. So, Mr. Japan, back to a question.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, when there's time or when GBDC invites some of us, we'll come and share our little knowledge on what we know about writing and what to do after we've written and copyright issues and all that. So that will be up to GBDC if they want to organize that. On a nutshell, if you want to write a book, there are things that you need to do. You need to do your research. You need to know your target audience. A little bit of things here and there. Then also you need to find a publisher who might be interested in your story or your book that you are writing. So you write, you don't just go ahead and write, but if you have an idea, it's good to share it with potential publishers that you want to work with. Do your research, and I think you'll be fine. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Mr. Kwabena Japan, for a wonderful presentation. We are so grateful for sharing us the idea that you have. And a very special thanks to all participants who also participated in today's workshop. This is the first workshop, as I said in the beginning, for some scheduled workshop that we have virtually. So God willing, on the 9th, as I said, on the 9th of July, we'll be having a second workshop about another aspect of book standard. We're dealing with another aspect of book standard. So 9th of July. So let's put that at the back of our mind. That 9th of July, we have a second workshop. So the details will also be shared just as the first one that we just have today. So if you have any further questions, any comments, I sent a message to everyone. They can contact me or can call via the phone, and we can kindly put it across and we deal with it. Thanks so much. And let's all have a wonderful day. Before that, I don't know, Mr. Ejapon,